All right, let's get started. So, hey everybody, thanks for joining us. This is our Diamond Rising call series that I've been doing for my business team, and we do these every single Monday evening at 8:30. And we decided to open this one up to a whole other community biz page. So, if you are joining us from the biz page, welcome. We opened it up because tonight we have a special guest, Glenn Allen, my friend Glenn. That's you, the one. You're Glenn. Okay, Glenn? He decided to join us tonight, and he's also going to join us July 10th for part 2. He is a friend of mine who has been helping Jennifer and I with all of our social media stuff and like our YouTube channel and doing our YouTube videos. He's super talented and he's really good, detail oriented when it comes to marketing and social media content. So feel free to go over after this to his Facebook page, Goal Crusher, like it. Give him some likes, watch his content. He's got great content. So I'm going to give Glenn the reins, and he is going to share with us some awesome info tonight.
Cool. Thank you. I'm really excited to do this. Thank you very much, Brittany, for that introduction. It's Goal Crusher Marketing. Don't go to goalcrushermarketing.com yet. That's I'm still working out behind the scenes, so all you're going to see is coming soon. I'm putting all the back-end systems in place right now. But the facebook.com/goalcrushermarketing is the page. So I'm going to open it up for questions later on. But for now, let's just get into the presentation. Talk a little bit about what we all want to learn about. Marketing online, social media marketing. So I'm Glenn Allen, and why do you care? Basically, I started Goal Crusher Marketing a few months ago because it was a dream that had been lingering for a really long time. I want to share kind of my story about how I got started in marketing and why I'm doing it specifically with young living people. My last year was a season of really deep disappointment and heartache. I actually, a year and a day ago, my marriage pretty much fell apart. In a matter of months, let me back up a little bit. I didn't lose just my marriage. There's also dreams about doing a business together with my spouse. In a matter of months, my wife at the time was in Young Living and she was getting rapid success working at it. She was just consistent with it, and it caused this huge growth that she really wasn't ready for. It kind of exploded in some ways, and then she was just constantly frazzled because she learned the tools to build the business, but didn't quite have the tools to maintain the level of the business that it started to grow to. And so she's frazzled trying to come up with new class materials. She was always being texted the same questions over and over. She was spending, family time and hours and time, she could have been putting together with the kids into inputting context in her computer. Instead of following up and investing in her team members, she was just always busy with these kinds of things. And I had been working 2 jobs. I was an administrative manager, a customer service manager, and marketing manager of a sales office. And then at the same time, I was taking my music lessons that I was teaching and I was converting them into an online course that I was learning to sell. And I was studying email marketing, social media marketing, and I was pursuing my marketing degree with emphasis on social media marketing. And so I started to build all these back-end systems, learning how to automate my contact with my customers through email and how to create landing pages where they could opt in and get, free, download this free guide to songwriting kind of thing. And then it'd automatically send them that guide and then a sequence of emails I'd pre-written, things like that. And also, through my admin job, I've been doing a lot of customer resource management, creating systems of organizing my customers. I had to develop a CRM system by hand using software and basically come up with a way with contacting people and managing who our contacts were and organizing it. And organizing, I get hundreds of emails a day that I have to read and write through things constantly. So I needed a way to just handle all this. And I started to see that my wife kind of had some of the same needs. And I told her, I was like, instead of doing all this busy work and creating all this stuff all the time, what if I showed you how I do imanorchestra.com? And what if I showed you how I work for AmTouch doing all my customer service and marketing? And so, I said, instead of doing all this extra stuff, you could have an automated and organized email system that welcomes and trains your new members with like a short email series that would link to these quick training videos. And you'd be in them. So people would be seeing your face all the time, and you kind of create a presence and set yourself up as a thought leader. And then, you can get back some of your time using those same links to just shoot them back to people instead of constantly coming up with new material or printing new materials out all the time or trying to find where that link is, things like that. It'd be in one place, and you can create like this vault. And we'd have an organized cloud-based system. We could use like a Google Drive. And as a HTML coder and web developer, I had to learn how to, create these file hierarchies so that everything's really, really organized. So I got really good at that kind of thing. And I said, we could do all this stuff for your business. Plus, I was studying, and I had already known a lot about graphic design for my first business. So I thought, why don't we do this? And, the thing is, like in life, sometimes, your dreams don't always go as planned. We had dreamed to build these businesses together. We have 3 kids. She was homeschooling at the time. There's my kids. I'm a solo dad now. And she just decided she wanted a different life. And there was nothing I could really do. I couldn't control it. I couldn't change her mind. And so I had to learn to let go of, those dreams. But I could not let go of this dream to do this marketing thing. The plan was, we were going to retire me. I was going to work from home and do this thing. And we're going to travel and be with the kids. And I still have that dream. And that's why I started Goal Crusher Marketing. I'm working my way out of my 8-to-5 job right now, doing consulting, web development, social media coaching, and developing the systems I just talked about. So, we also thought this would be great for our downline, and fortunately I kept that relationship with Young Living, and I actually ended up becoming a distributor myself. My first class is this Wednesday with Brittany. That'll be pretty cool. I wanted to still use this for Young Living. I believe very strongly in this brand. I've been through a lot of network marketing, such as my parents were in Amway when I was a kid, and I watched how scammy that MLM is. I had relatives in Shackley and Herbalife, and some of you may know those are legitimately or were legitimately labeled as pyramid schemes because they are really or were really pyramid schemes. And I was in Plexus for a second, and let me tell you, those businesses are always all about, hey, y'all, you can have the dream, and you can have a fancy car like me. And, it's like dude bros looking real super douchey with like their, motorcycles and flashy cars. And, Young Living isn't like that. When we got into this, we didn't even consider the business thing. It's, for most of you, it's an accidental business. And with an accidental business, you suddenly find yourself unequipped for, you've got the network, but you need to learn how to market. And that's where I come in. That's what I want to help with. And so I still really want to help the people in Young Living. In fact, when my separation first happened, those are the first people to reach out to me. I was reached out by Brittany and Beth Carlin, if you know her, and just a lot of my friends in Young Living were the first people to really just, say, I'm so sorry for what you're going through, and, offered to help watch my kids, things like that. So these are people that I'm proud to call my friends, and I'm glad to help support their business. And, we're working together to grow each other's businesses. That's kind of how Goal Crusher Marketing came about, and why I feel like I really know this business. And so I'm really well equipped to help specifically with Young Living marketing. I want to talk a little bit about my first business in graphic design. I used to have a business with my sister. We used to design t-shirts. We were called Spitting Image. And we had an Etsy shop. And then my second business I mentioned earlier, IamAnorchestra.com. I used to make animated and live action videos where I'd teach all kinds of different songwriting and music things. And I created my logos in my own, like you see the 5-minute fretboard thing here. These are all designs I came up with. So my background is not just marketing, it's also design. So I know a little bit about that. Now that I've told my story, let's dig into some marketing advice. So I want to share my story because I want you to know who I am, but also that is what you want to do in marketing, is you want to share your story, because things about your life will resonate with people. I'm sure you've heard that a million times. But when I see, and I have been watching a lot of how some of you are doing your marketing, this is one place where a lot of you can really improve. Instead of just reposting something, this is, like a lot of times you'll see a graphic and it'll be like your upline made it. It looks really good, but you'll repost it and you'll just share it. That's not a great practice to get into, because there's, it's duplication now, but not the kind of duplication you want. It's redundancy is what it is. And there's nothing personal about it. You don't have your stamp on it. So if you're going to repost about the benefit or how this has directly impacted your life, things like that. Share your testimony more often. Tell your stories about how, like I like telling the story of how, what I love about Young Living is peppermint is the first thing that I saw really work. My daughter had chronic stomach aches and indigestion, and we put that on her stomach, and minutes later she'd be up and running and happy and smiling. And that is the kind of stuff you need to share with people. It's like, if any of you read Getting Noticed, Lindsay Marino Teague's book, you can read it in like 5 minutes. It's like a snack of a book. I read it 2 weeks ago, in just a matter of like an hour.
Snack. That's hilarious.
Very good little book. It's basically a blog post turned into a book, really. And she says, when you're talking about your oils, when you're talking about your products, she didn't say oils, but if you're talking about your oils, that's not what we're selling. That's not at all what our product is. You're selling yourself, you're selling a lifestyle, you're selling the benefit. It just happens to be that an oil causes that benefit, but don't sell people on the oils. People don't care about oils. It could be a stick. It doesn't matter what the thing is. That's just a feature. That's just an item. That's a tool. Like what she says in this book, she says, you don't sell the drill, you sell the hole. Nobody wants a drill. Like, oh, check out this cool drill. No, you want the result of what the drill will do. What's it going to do? It's going to create a hole so that you can put something on your wall or build something. That's the benefit. You get a hole. It's a weird thing to think about it that way, but this is how you got to think. You have to change your mind about what you're posting about and think in that mentality. The other thing is to think, so what? So you might post the benefit or what you think is the benefit. We've got a sale this week, so you're going to save money. So what is what you should tell yourself. Okay. So you'll have more to spend on, this, or, you always want to take it down another layer. This oil will help with clearing up your skin. So what? So that you'll feel more confident. These are the things that it says down here, use hooks. This is what I'm talking about when I say use hooks. Hooks are, what can you give somebody that they don't already have? What can you make them feel that they didn't already feel? What will they have? What will they do? How will they look? Think about these kinds of things. This is a before and after, but you don't have to state it as a before and after. You just have to say, I used to, or, if you felt like, or if you struggle with, you might be interested in this. It's helped me, or it's helped my family, or it's helped somebody I know do X, Y, Z. This is how you use hooks. And this is not every time you post, but this is something you should think about frequently when you're posting. If you're going to be posting about your product specifically, I mean. It's not enough to just say, oh, I've got a sale on this thing, or the worst thing you could possibly do, and I haven't seen this much in Young Living. I've seen it a little bit with some of the newer people, but I've seen it a ton with my friends who are in Pure Romance and Mary Kay. They will say, I need 60 recruits this month, or like, who's going to help me sell these charcoal masks? Like, that's your job, and I don't care. And the people don't care about, we care about people, but in a way it's like, we only care about you as much as we care about ourselves. And so tell me, how is this charcoal mask going to change my life, right? What's the benefit to me? Oh, I'm going to have clearer skin. I will look better. I will look healthier. I will look younger. Boom. There's your hook. Moving on, let's talk a little bit about copy. In marketing, copy or copywriting, not copyright like this is a registered trademark, copyright, but copy with a W writing. It's really just what you say. The words you use in a simple post, in a Facebook ad, in a blog article, in a headline, the words I'm saying right now, it's all copy. And you can craft it. You want to be genuine. You want to have your own voice. But some of us have these large blocks of text, and it overwhelms the reader. And so one skill you want to learn is, how do we break up your posts? And if you watch Brittany, she actually is really good at this. She doesn't always do it, but when she has the time, I noticed she would do one sentence Like this sentence right here on the screen. Let me tell you a secret. ... Okay.
Glenn, you're so funny. I told Glenn that when I have good copy, it's because I had time. When I have bad copy, it's because I was literally like, crap, just get this content out there now. Because I don't got time.
Sometimes we're in a hurry, and then we got somewhere to go, and we got to get it out. Otherwise, our phones refresh, which drives me nuts.
Right, like there's a sale and it's happening now, but I don't have time to, like, So anyways, that's why it's good or bad.
So I've intentionally written this block of text right here in copy, and you wouldn't necessarily have to write in this style, but this is just kind of a very generic idea of how you can write out what would look something like this normally. So here's the same text. Let me tell you a secret. No one wants to read large blocks of text. Text blocks overwhelm the reader, blah, blah, blah. So you can see this is 2 paragraphs. You need to get the idea of proper English writing skills out of your head completely. In marketing, in marketing classes and marketing books I studied back in the day, they all say the same thing. Forget English. Forget your English degrees. Like, I wanted to be an English teacher, and so learning this style was really, it was a challenge for me to just kind of turn off the English thing, because I was a grammar nerd and a spelling bee champion for years, and you can even get away with bad spelling in this. You just want to be yourself and be authentic, and don't worry about punctuation. In fact, you're going to remove punctuation sometimes, even though it's not correct, and you would, if you're writing a term paper, get graded poorly. Nobody's grading this. You want to think about the flow of thoughts and ideas, and you want to break them up into like small chunks, like 1 to 2 sentence max for a paragraph. But you don't want to disrupt the flow of having them drop from line to line to line reading. And so there's a lot of different methods you can use. Some of that is caps, like I have here in this 4th chunk of texts. But there are 3 must-know secrets to make people use ellipses, the ... dots, read every word. You can use those up at the top, anywhere you want to add a little bit of intrigue that makes them go to the next line. You can break your sentences in half. And in fact, I recommend it. Let's look at some other things I'm doing in this one. Using phrases like so, however, nonetheless, at the beginning of a sentence, or but. That's all improper grammar. But in copy, it happens all the time, and it's very powerful for getting people to continue reading, and that's your goal. You want them to actually digest what it is you took the time to write, so make sure they take the time to actually read it. You don't want them missing any key information, and be careful about where you hide that information. If you're going to put your most important information at the end, keep hinting at it all the way through or part of the way through. In the beginning, say, I'm going to tell you all about blah, 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 but first, let me tell you a story. But first, da-da-da-da, or, digress, but make sure you tell them, and then get back to it and say, but like I said, I was going to tell you about blah, blah, blah. You don't always have to write this way, but this is just some things to keep in mind, little tips to write better long form, if you're going to do a long form post. However, long form posts do not perform well on Facebook. They perform well in other places like blogs, sales pages, things like that. But if you are going to write one, make sure it's an engaging story. A really good example of that, if anybody saw it today, Jennifer Buchholz's post about being an introvert was really good. I was really impressed. Very great picture and story to go with it.
Want to share that on Facebook? Because only the people in the Lavender and Grace page saw that post.
Oh.
So maybe you can share screen it and kind of show people a visual of what a good post looks like.
Yes, let's do that.
Okay. But that was only because I finally read the Getting Noticed book.
Hilarious, Jen.
All right, let's see if I can find Jennifer's posts. One thing to note is if you're going to write a post like this, check into it and see how the ellipsis works. That's automatically built in the See More. If you can write a post that actually leaves a little bit of intrigue right at this line right here, that's just a good thing to think about. It won't look the same in every format on every device, but just something to consider. So it just says, always remember to be you. Are you introverted, extroverted, a mix between? You can do this business as any. I'm a long-term introvert who is working on being more social, which I know is an important part in life to have strong relationships. But I also need to remember who I naturally am and be okay with that and keep safe boundaries so I can be myself. So she's telling a story. She's giving away something about herself. This is very engaging, and the picture that went with it is very engaging. And a lot of people can relate to this sort of thing in Young Living. So I did some research and some surveys just to learn a little bit more about what kind of things other Young Living distributors were struggling with. Turns out it's almost all the same things. Depending on what rank you are, there's like some themes. And there's some behaviors that people up here do that people here don't do, which would be a good thing to talk about later on. But anyway, being an introvert is the thing I hear a lot. But it is possible, as Jen can show you, to be introverted, nervous, scared, shy, and still be very successful with a business like this. She performs really well in video. When we were doing her videos, I was, Brittany has she's got the gift of gab and just a personality that everybody knows her for. And so she's got a natural inclination for video, and her videos are very engaging. Whereas Jen, I don't know if she had to study at it more or become more comfortable with it, but she looks very just very polished. And Brittany would often do, I'm going to bust you out here, Brittany. Brittany would often do 20 takes. Jen would do 3 takes of videos.
So true.
And what's funny is, we'd have notes, but most of the time, Jen was very consistent. She'd say what she had to say, and I don't know if she was just doing it off the top of her head sometimes, but it's consistent. So she's really good at video, very
Jen's just a really good actress.
It reminded me of, if anybody's seen that movie, what's that movie with Jennifer Lawrence that came out a little while ago, where it's a story of this woman who was a QVC host, but she started out making this mop. I don't know if anybody's seen that, but
I love that movie.
Really good movie. And she's always about it's all about the hands. And Jen is kind of like that. She's like the QVC. She knows how to display the products and use her hands a lot. So that's something to think about when you're doing your Facebook, your videos. Anyway, let me get back to, I digress quite a bit. Let me get back to the presentation. Okay, so some things to think about when you're writing long form copy, especially, cut the word that out of it. 9 times out of 10, we tend to overuse the word that. And there's some words or some sentences where you can't avoid it. It needs to be there. The sentence makes no sense. But like I said, most of the time you can remove that word. And is another word you can remove. I already said 1 to 2 sentences per line, so I'm jumping around a little bit. At the bottom it says delete and use a period. Here's why. Let's say you're saying this will make your skin look healthier and it will help you avoid, I'm going to be non-compliant and say, I don't know, free radicals. Instead, a more powerful statement would be, you will have healthier glowing skin. You will avoid glowing free radicals. You have 2 powerful statements. They get diluted when you turn them into this and this. I don't know why that is, but it's just the way it is. And I should have written a sentence that looks like that. You can see it in text when you see them side by side and you see a comparison. So see where you can find places to get rid of and throw a period and make shorter sentences. I already mentioned bait the reader with what they'll get at the end and sell the benefit, not the feature. I can't say that enough. I work for a company where I do marketing, and it's a Taiwanese-owned corporation, and their marketing is terrible. So I get to rewrite it, and I get to make my own. And I get to make white papers. And they're always like, this touchscreen has EMI class level 3 certification. And nobody knows what that is because they're experts. We're experts in the touchscreen field, and nobody else is. Our customers go to us because we're the experts. We provide that part. They have to put together all these other parts. They're like, I don't know what this is. So I have to say, okay, if you want to pass medical certification and get your product into a hospital, you need to pass the certification, and we're the only ones that can do that because we tested all our products with that. We got the certification. Boom. There's the benefit, not the feature of having class 3 certification. So think about that. However, there is one exception to that. Seed to seal is a definite exception to that because that seed to seal story is a feature thing, but it adds credibility. So it's so necessary. Okay. Let's talk about iFlow specifically for text on a graphic and for graphics in general. I'm going to show you a couple. And you know what? After this video, I'm going to send you all a link. I'll send you a page where you can just put in your name and email, and I will send you all the notes from this in case you miss anything. And I'm also going to send you a video, the 5-step guide to creating or making more engaging posts, flyers, and promos, I think is the name of it. And I go into a lot of this stuff I'm talking in this presentation about, but I go into much more detail and I show you some screen shares of some examples. I believe there's even some design examples of me using my Canva, and I show you how I do some of these things. So here's an example you can try out if you're doing a graphic. This layout leads your eyes down here, so put important information or CTA, call to action, down here. You can put your logos down here. This is the kind of thing you want to think about when you're creating your graphics. That's just one example. This is called the F shape. You put a lot of text up top, a little bit less in the next line, and a small amount of text in the bottom. it creates this F. So you're reading left to right. This is probably going to look the opposite for you, so I'll do it this way. Left to right, and you come down, and you come down, and it pushes you off to the corner of the page. And I'll show you later on some really bad examples of this being done, not being done, or being done backwards, and you'll see how important this is. So when you're making graphics, because you don't just want to post words. Anytime you post on Facebook, you have to have a video, a link to something else, or graphics. And let's say you don't have a graphic to go with what you want to say. Well, then turn it into a graphic image. Use Canva and make a graphic of what you've got to say. But if you're using fonts, please no more than 3 fonts. And you can see in this example, I've got 3. I've got my Montserrat, which is my favorite branded fonts, and then I've got the brush script that everybody seems to love in Young Living, and then I think I've got Montserrat Light on the bottom. You want to avoid font clash. Not too many people are aware of this kind of thing, but there's serif fonts. So if you look at where it says these 2 fonts, the one underneath that says go together nicely, that's a serif font. It has those little dashes on the ends of all the letters. That's serif. And sans serifs, without serifs, is the plain ones that are on top. You can put those together and they go together well. But what you can't do is put together 2 serif fonts, as you can see on the bottom. That's font clash. You can put any combination of sans serifs together, though. One thing to also think about is if you find some fonts that you really like, you want to get your own kind of like brand identity if you're at that level. If you're just beginning, don't get into brand identity. Please focus on learning the class, learning your oils, reading your resource guides, learning about the business, and just booking classes. Don't get into, I need a branded page and a website and everything. Like, have maybe a website, a simple one, like the myyl.com website, where it's just a quick, easy 4-step thing. And you can send that to people to, help get signups. But don't get too much into like the real higher level stuff right off the bat. But if you're at a level where you've got your own group, you've got your own page, and you want to kind of really take it up a notch and really get your branding together, start looking at other people's pages and websites that are in marketing. People like Marie Forleo, Amy Porterfield, Ramit Sethi, Gary Vaynerchuk, Seth Godin, names like that. Start looking at what they say and what they do and how they arrange their fonts and things like that. Just start looking at just other design ideas. Even go to fontsquirrel.com and look up some examples that you like. Or if you see somebody's page and you like it, if you're a PC user, you can get snipping tool. It should come free through your computer. You just take a quick snip around the text. Or if you're a Mac user, it's Command-Shift-4. I use this constantly. And that does a screenshot. It gives you crosshairs to select and highlight an area, and then takes a screenshot. Then you can upload it to fontsquirrel.com, upload the image, and it lets you select the lettering, and it analyzes it, and it finds the exact or nearest fonts. So you can figure out what fonts people are using. Start to get a sense for what you like. Create a Pinterest brand board of what you want your branding to look like, and start to put that together. Colors. Oh, yes. Okay, so choose your colors wisely. There's some great tools on the internet, and I am going to tell you got to use these. So first, let's start off with what you should not do. I don't even know where to get started with this graphic. This is not anybody in our group, so don't worry. I found this also off of Google. But let's start with the red. The red is bad. The blues, okay, they're not in the same color family. They're not analogous, and I'll explain that in a moment. We've got this green, kind of almost goes closely analogous, but not really. It's just not complementary. And then you've got these colors in the oil labels. That's a different kind of color. And then you've got the color in the picture. So you have all these different hues of colors, and they do not go together. Not to mention this is just crazy busy, and it has this tacky font up top and tacky font right, where it says extended through August 31st. It's just, it's not right. Also, whoops, go to the white space in the picture, at the bottom, and then look at the white balance of the photo. White balance is how true white the white is in the picture. It's kind of a grayed picture, and so it doesn't really draw the eye in, and it's kind of artifacty. I'll show you what that is in a moment. Let's look at this one. This is like a unicorn at a rave party threw up confetti. I don't know. It's just, Okay, the image itself, the native image that has been used of the product, these are all earth tones. You've got your kind of hunter greens and your browns and a little bit of red. Borrow from the colors you already have. And by the way, a great Chrome browser extension is Color Picker. You can go to the Chrome store. It's free. You put it in your browser, and then when you find a color you like, you go to Chrome Picker, click on the little icon. You can take the little crosshairs and go over any image, and it analyzes what those hex colors are. Hex colors are 6-digit code that tells you what the exact internet website color is being displayed on your monitors. And so this is why, you know, all my color branding matches. I always use, like, my yellow is FFD's C0D. That's the hex code for my yellow. It's the yellow I use in all of my flyers, my website, my email marketing, all of my designs. I use that, and I use black.
Glenn, I just wanted to mention that if you use Canva
Yeah.
for your, you can pay for the professional version. It's only like, I don't know if you're going to mention this, but it's only like, I think it's like, it's like $120 for the year. It's not horrible. And you can upload a section, so you can upload all of your branding, your logo. You can set your colors and everything. So then everything's just right there for you to just easily grab when you're making your graphics.
And this is where I'm going with this. And I will be doing some Canva training. It might be paid training. It's just as a warning, but because it's going to be very in-depth and detailed. I'm kind of a Canva ninja, and I think that's going to be the name of this course. Started out as a, and I think Brittany, you too, as a Photoshop snob. And then I was like, ugh, Canva, what is this? And then I started to realize how much faster my workflow is now that I work in Canva. I can just whip these things out.
So much better. Photoshop is such a drag. Jen and I were using Photoshop when we first started, and then we realized how awful it was.
Yeah. I mean, it's great. It's a professional tool for a reason. It's just most of you aren't going to have the time to develop and learn how to use that tool. And you can do so many great things so much faster in Canva. I mean, just like what Brittany just said, you can set up your brand board into that program. You can upload your own fonts into it. You're not stuck with the fonts you have, but this is only in the paid version. But because I have a lot of different clients, I have my AmTouch stuff. I have stuff I've done for Brittany and Jen. I've got stuff where I'm doing for some other members. And I have palettes for every single brand, and I can name them and label them, and my colors are always ready to go. And so when I'm going to pull up a design, I got some templates. If I don't want to use that, I can still pull up my brand colors, and it just defaults to those, or I can pick them really fast. It's wonderful. So I can go into that in a future video. So getting back to this nightmare. So you've got earth tones, and then all of a sudden you've got these mismatched colors that just don't go together. And of course, millions of fonts. The eye isn't really sure where to go. The one saving grace of this graphic is actually that from a design arrangement standpoint, it uses space. I mean, it's too much in one space, but it uses like the kind of rule of thirds very well. There's almost like a perfect diagonal line you can draw between the image and the information. So it has that going for it, and that's about it. So you don't want your colors to be distracting. You want to use colors that are complementary. Use a color wheel. I'll show you a website in a second. Let's just jump into it. color-hex.com. You can go in there and you can find different color combinations. I believe there's, is it color trends as well is one to look up. They'll show you different trends in design currently that are kind of popular color combinations that you might want to get inspiration from. And then there's this one, coolers.co. Not .com, that's not a typo. It's coolers.co. You go in there, and it generates a bunch of colors that all go together. And you can say, okay, I want to keep this one, but generate some new ones for me. And then it does that. You know, let's screen share this sucker. This is a great site. Check this out. Watch and learn, people. All right, start the generator. It's free. Okay, so see this? I just randomly gave me some greens. I don't like them, so I'm going to say, nope. Generate more. Okay, new ones. And I say, oh, cool, I like this gray. Lock the gray. Okay, give me something else. Oh, you hit the space bar. Duh. It says right there. So hit the space bar, more colors. Nope, keep going. And so you kind of, it's like the color lottery. Okay, I like this. I'm going to lock this. Then I'm going to move them around and see like, well, how do I like this one? And so you can actually drag them around and see how they combine. So this is a really awesome tool to use. Hex codes are on the bottom. And I think you can save this or export it, or export, save. Coolers.co, free tool, very cool. One more thing, and this is something that you can do in Canva as well. Oftentimes I see some graphics where people have text and you can't really read through it. It happens more often than not with white text over a very bright background. But here's an example of dark text over a dark background with a lot of detail. The way to fix this is making transparent, translucent shapes. You can do this in Canva. You take a shape, you set it back a layer, and then you size it to the approximate space around your text. And you can actually take your text and move it around so it lines up and balances itself. You can see little hash lines and see where the perfect middle is and get it nice and spaced out. And you can arrange how see-through that text block, or the block behind the text is, and it helps your text pop out and become more readable without sacrificing the image. Or conversely, you can put a shape over the entire thing. The other thing is there's also filters you can use. There are advanced settings within your filters if you click on the actual picture while you're designing in Canva. Again, these are all things I'll teach about later on. So this is what I was talking about when I said artifacty. These artifacts, you want to use high quality images in your graphics. But this is what happens when you try to blow up a low-res graphic. And this comes because a lot of us are finding our graphics online or Googling them, and we're not getting good quality images. The video training I'm going to show you is going to go into depth about a Google trick you can do to get really good graphics every time. I'm not going to go into that right now. One thing you can do, though, if you want really great graphics that are compliant, there's a subscription service called Oily Revolution Design. Some of you already have this tool, but if you're not using it currently, I do recommend it. It's always compliant. It's always up to date with the latest promos and the latest products, as opposed to some of the other things that are out there. And it's personalized. The downside for some people, upside for others, is they watermark it with your member number. And I think
they watermark it with like your name and your Young Living number.
Yeah. So
I think that Oily Tool Revolution is a great resource and tool for anybody who's just starting out. But I think that if you're silver and above, share that tool with your downline. But I think you should be branding yourself. Like, I think at that point you should be, setting yourself apart from everybody else so that you don't look, because everyone's going to come out with the same Oily Revolution graphics. And what Lindsay Moreno says is she'll see the same 10, 12, 15 graphics in her news feed.
Very true. Every
single morning, and the same copied content that all came from one person's Facebook page. And that's not going to set you apart from all the other people that, so you may have a network of friends who don't use oils yet, but they may also have a friend or two in their network that uses oils. And if both of your guys' stuff is showing up in their news feed, who is going to have the authentic content, and the one who's going to have their kind of own brand jive going is probably going to be the person that they're going to be more likely to be more attracted to.
That's very good points. And like Brittany said, that's kind of silver and above. You want to start getting into branding and branching out as a leader, and starting to think about things like logos, the font, your own branded fonts that you're always using, those kinds of things. I have 3 fonts that are my go-to. I've got Montserrat, I've got Bebas Nue, I think is how you say it, and for regular script it's Aramo, which is kind of a variation of Arial, which is just regular text. Okay, let's blast this thing out. Let's talk about why this is so wrong. This is something that somebody is selling. This is considered this is for sale from a professional graphic design company aiming their products at Young Living distributors. And there's so many things. Okay, let's disregard the purple sample thing. That's a watermark, so you can't steal the graphic. That's all that is. Where does your eye pop first? What's the first thing you notice? Where's your eye drawn?
I mean, my eyes go to the main top starter kit.
Where after that?
Then they just get lost because all of the text and the pictures in the bottom are just kind of you don't even want to read it because you can't read it.
Right. You don't want to read it. You don't want to look at it. Okay, first of all, the thing that pops out to me starts at 160.
Oh, yeah.
Not a thing to feature, right?
No.
So I'm not saying that people are doing this, but this is just some examples of some things you want to think about. And so we want to have clean space in between what we have. And so we want to be simpler. There's too many things going on. It's fancy in that, like, we've got all this, these wavy things behind the Young Living's premium starter kit and lots of fonts. And you've got at least some decent colors that go together. But you've got this like frame thing that the kit sits in. Okay, that's fancy, but that's busy. Then we've got these chevrons that point inward towards, they cause a focal point that actually doesn't do anything for our eyes. It doesn't bring us anything important. They at least got this, these diffusers. They've got 4 of them. They balanced it out with includes your choice of these diffusers. That's what we call weight in graphic design. If they didn't have that there, the weight of the page would be imbalanced. And currently the page is still imbalanced because that starts at 160, creates a visual balance towards the left, which we don't read right to left unless we're reading Hebrew. So this is not working for us. Next up, we've got the salmon color block of text in the bottom with this script font and some italicized text. The stuff on the right is the more important information. You never want to script font it. You want to go with a plain, no serif font, sans serif. Also, it's center aligned. That should be left aligned. It's just a tiny little style thing, but it will make it so much more readable. There just needs to be more space. It's so condensed. The other thing, on the very bottom, I talked about this way in the beginning of the Zoom call, this left to right call to action thing, the iFlow. See how it says, really small, Young Living, and there's distributed information, and probably says something, and this would be where you put your member number, to get somebody to sign up. But down the right says, a savings of over 130 to learn more, ... And where does it lead your eye? Right off the page. Well, it needs to lead you over to the information that's on the left side so that you can actually figure out how to sign up. So it just needs to be reversed. So think about where the eyes are being led. Be careful not to overwhelm your viewer. That's the main takeaway here. Let's get into Facebook Live, because this is one of the other ways you can post. We got text and graphics, and now we got Facebook Live. We got video. So what I want you to do is keep a folder or a notebook for future post ideas at all times. I am a songwriter. I did already make a video, a live Facebook Live about this. How as a songwriter, I've got a folder with audio files. I've always got a voice recorder ready to go on my phone, and I sing into it. And when nobody's around, I kind of have to sometimes be like, but I put my song ideas in there. And I have hundreds of song ideas in there. And now I do that with my post ideas. So I always have something I can go to. But I prefer to actually not have it in my phone. I prefer to have it in text. I have a very highly structured Google Drive folder with all my ideas. And it's arranged in a way where I can go, okay, I need a new idea for what am I going to blog about? What am I going to post about? And I go to this folder, and it's blog ideas. I go to this folder, it's post ideas, that kind of thing. Keep a running list of ideas you can go to. Be intentional about it. Is there a message or a system of values that you want to convey from your business? What are you about? What is your thing? What is your niche? Who is your audience? Be intentional. Talk about the messages that matter to your people, your audience. Talk about the values that are important to you. And, think about, like, is there kind of a series of things you want to create? And then the other thing is, you want to plan some of these out and don't just do them all at once. Strip them out over time. You want to have information to just always draw from when you can't think of anything in the moment. You just tap for ideas, go to that folder and get some of those ideas and do them. Post ahead of time. I've seen this happening more and more, so this is good. You say, I'm going to go live tonight at 8 o'clock. That is the strategy you should have. It's okay to do those off-the-cuff things. Ashley is really good at those. She just, all of a sudden, she's in her car. She's like, I just thought of a thing I'm going to say. And off the top of her head, she does it. She does it very well. Some of us aren't like that. I do the same thing, but I also like to plan things. Some of us, we just get tongue-tied and nervous, and then we're, that kind of thing. So you want to practice. A lot of us are afraid to do it because it's like stage fright. And as a musician, I've had to deal with this in my own way. I don't have stage fright anymore. In fact, I love talking in front of other people. I can be introverted, but I am very extroverted when I feed off of the energy of having lots of people around. Love to talk. So video is just a natural extension of my personality. Like doing video is just, that's where I thrive, I think. Some of us, it's something that we have to work at. Well, with songwriting, oddly enough, I've been playing music for years. I've been performing on stage since I was a kid. My dad's a professional drummer. I never had nerves about being on stage, but doing my own music, writing my own songs and performing those live, lots of anxiety about that because it's so personal. It was so vulnerable and real. And many of you, this is what you're doing when you're doing these videos. And I can see why that is very nerve-wracking. And the only way you can get over that is practicing. I have forced myself when I started writing my own music to just go out and do crappy open mics and fail at it and just learn from the failures. And I learned a lot from failing hard at it. You just kind of realize what doesn't work, and you watch yourself and you record yourself. One great way to practice, go live on and then share only to you. You can select share with and then select only me. And so when you're done with the playback, you can actually watch it and kind of critique and see what you look like. This is really helpful if you got, this is something I've been wanting to preach about for a long time. I am tired of seeing people's foreheads. This is helpful if you've got the camera like I do, where it makes your forehead look huge because it does this like angled thing. There's so many beautiful women in Young Living, and yet they just look like they have humongous heads from like here up. They don't when I meet them in person. And so
get a tripod,
but also like if you can not do the one where you're watching yourself, use the back camera. And the way you do that is set your tripod up and experiment with it. Maybe have a mirror here or something, or just do like a quick live, share it to yourself, see how it looks and adjust accordingly. Get it right, know where that positioning is, and just have that kind of marked out and ready to go for you so you can do your videos that way. But it's really not as hard as you think. If you do this, you can pretty much guarantee you're going to get yourself. Maybe there's a little bit more of, something in the exterior or in the background around you. So the back camera is higher quality. I highly recommend that.
I was going to say, like, I feel like the quality of the camera is probably way better too.
It is way better. Better depth, all kinds of stuff. So yeah, you want to make your videos look more legit, but not too legit.
You want to be duplicatable and you want to be real.
That's right. That's where you want to be, not too legit. You want to be real.
Avoid barking dogs.
Yes. I mean, it's inevitable. It's going to happen, but try to avoid it. But like my big thing, and I'm going to do it right now, my mic is on a table, right? That's really annoying. And a lot of people are like, here's my product, and they put it on a table and they do this, or they just kind of do this kind of thing, and it comes through the video. Try to avoid that. If you can have your tripod or your microphone or whatever you're recording with on a harder surface instead of a table that, like mine is just this cheap melamine desk, that's helpful.
And don't look at yourself. Don't look at the picture of yourself. Look at the hole on the top of your camera.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. I have to keep reminding myself to look up here. In fact, I keep sometimes I have one of my kids' toys up here, so I have something to look at. You can put a picture of something. It reminds me of when I was in grade school. They'd have, school picture day. They'd always have some kind of weird thing to get you to look there. You can go, smile pretty, look at Ernie. Think about stuff like that.